Good afternoon, students.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you doing?
Fine,
Fine.
sir.
Okay. At the outset, I would like to inform you that your this thing, unit test, test, what do you call? Unit test or class unit test, whatever it be, that will be conducted very soon. Okay. So, sociology will also be included. Sociology paper also will be included in the unit test. We will have unit test on sociology. Okay. So it will be for 50 marks. I don't know when the test will be conducted, but I have been informed by one of your teachers that unit test will commence very soon. So I have been asked to prepare questions for the test. Okay, so we will have a unit test on sociology subject for 50 marks. So whatever units that I have covered so far, I request you to go through. The questions will only come from the units that we have covered. I will not include other aspects which we are still yet to cover. So you please be reminded about this. Okay. So if there is any student who is not online at the moment, you may please pass on the information to them also. Okay. So today I will not be able to show slides on the topics that I'll be discussing with you. I have prepared the slides. So I brought my pen drive, and then my pen drive is infected with some virus, so it could not be opened. So I'll not be able to show the slides for the things that we will be discussing today. Rather, I would send the slide to one of your class representative. Okay, and that representative will share the slides with you all. Okay, so don't worry about that. But since the class is already scheduled, we cannot cancel it. So I'm ready to take. So also I request you to be ready to listen to what I'll be discussing this afternoon. Okay. There's no slide. So you'll only have to listen to my voice. So last time we had already discussed about the relationship between man and society, how man is a social animal. We have discussed aspects about that. Also, we have already discussed the meaning of socialization, okay, and then the definitions of socialization from different perspectives, from various sociologies. So I will not go into that again. I will not repeat. Then we have discussed the difference between socialization, sociality, and socialism. Okay, now we will discuss the process of socialization. Okay, so socialization, as we know, is a process. It is not something which has an ending. It begins, of course, directly. I had already mentioned that socialization happens in two ways. One is direct socialization, which starts with birth. When a person is born, then from that point in time, socialization has already started. So that is called direct socialization. The socialization which commences with the birth of a child or of a person is called direct socialization. Whereas there is another type of socialization which is indirect. So these indirect socialization actually occurs before the physical birth, which means preceding the birth of the child or the birth of the person. So I told you about how during pregnancy, how the mother feels, for example, the marriage, the situation of the family, the condition of the family, their relationship, husband and wife relationship, family relationship, all these plays an important role, and it lays the foundation of the child, how the child will become, how the child will grow. These also impacts the growth of the child in the future. Okay, so process of socialization starts long before a child is born, which means that before the physical birth itself, the process of socialization has already started. Okay, social circumstances preceding birth lays down the kind of life a child is to lead. I have already explained the social circumstances of the husband, the social circumstances of the wife, the family to which the child is going to be born. These all aspects, okay, lay down the kind of life the child will have in the future. So these are very important. Okay, so I told you process of socialization can happen in two ways. Number one is direct socialization, which starts only after birth, and the second one is indirect socialization, which precedes birth. Indirect socialization covers the social circumstances. It involves the social circumstances preceding the birth of the child. Okay, so next, let's go to the next slide. Things that limit or help socializations. Which are the things that help or limit the process of socialization? Number one is reflexes. Number two is instinct. Number three is urge. And number four is capacities. So I have briefly explained in the last class the things that limit or help socialization. Now reflexes, what are reflexes? They are automatic and rigid responses of the organism to a given stimulus. They are unlearned and unmodifiable. These are ingrained things. Reflexes are already there. These are already there during birth, okay, in an individual. They are unlearned. We don't learn. Okay, the reflexes that we have are responses to a given stimulus. Some of our responses to a given stimulus are unlearned and unmodifiable, which we can't change. For example, we close our eyes when we gaze at the sun. Then we have this salivation, salivation. So these are reflexes which we don't have to learn, which we can't change. These are already natural. Okay, so these are things that help socialization. Okay, number two, instinct. It can limit socialization, at the same time it can help socialization. Okay, instinct. Many psychologists attempt to explain human nature in terms of instinct. Okay, for example, Adam Smith, according to him, sympathy is the basis of all human behavior. According to Adam Smith, sympathy is the basis of all human behavior. So he is trying to explain human nature in terms of human behavior in terms of instinct. Now Trotter, one of the psychologists, according to him, all human behavior is based on herd instinct. Okay, he says that all human behavior is based on herd instinct. Now Freud, according to Sigmund Freud, sex instinct is the source of all human endeavors. Whatever we endeavor, it is based on sex instinct, according to Sigmund Freud. And according to McDougall, McDougall himself is the strong advocate of the theory of instinct. Okay. However, to explain human behavior in terms of instinct is erroneous. Means it is incorrect. Okay, erroneous, because instinct at birth is not complete. When a child is, when a person is small, his instinct is not complete. When he becomes adult, when he becomes mature, his instinct becomes more and more complete. Okay, so if we have to take instinct as the basis to explain human behavior, then it is erroneous. It is incorrect. Because when a child, during childhood, the instinct of a person is not complete as compared to adulthood period. Okay, now the third things that limit or help socialization is urge. Urge provides for firmer ground for analysis of human behavior. Urge is also considered as dynamic force behind behavior. Okay, it is also regarded as the starting point of process of socialization. Urge is considered as the starting point of socialization. When human needs are not satisfied, for example, when our needs are not satisfied, it leads to tension until it encounters stimulus capable of relieving the tension. When we are hungry, we either become angry or we behave in certain ways. Okay, only when we eat and when we are filled, we are calm. So, urge, that is human needs, are very important. Okay, and it provides a firmer ground for analysis of human behavior. Okay. Number 4 is capacities. Everyone is born with defined capacities. Okay. Man's capacity to learn may be increased by the development of new techniques of instrument and incentives. So these reflexes, instinct, urge, capacities, these are the things that limit or help socialization. Now let's go to the next thing, that is factors of the process of socialization. What are the factors of the process of socialization? There are 4 factors. Number 1 is imitation. Number 2 is suggestion. Number 3 is identification. And number 4 is language. These are the factors which help the process of socialization. Okay, these are the factors of the process of socialization. Imitation, what is imitation? It is simply copying of another's action by an individual, consciously or unconsciously, spontaneously or deliberately. It can be perceptual or ideational. Now, imitation is regarded as the main factor in the process of socialization. For example, imitation of language, pronunciation, of dressing, of wearing spectacles. For example, a kid imitates all sorts of things. Okay, so this imitation is the main factor of the process of socialization. Okay, number 2 is suggestion. What is suggestion? It is just a process of communicating information which has no logical or self-evident basis. It can be in terms of language, it can be in terms of picture, it can be in terms of propaganda or advertising, etc. Okay. Now, suggestibility of a child is greater than that of an adult because of immaturity. If you say something to a child, there is higher chances of the child doing what you are saying than an adult. If you say the same thing to adult may have all types of judgment and everything. He might analyze or she might analyze. After assessment, she may do what you are saying. But if you tell something to a child will definitely, most probably, say what you are doing because of his or her immaturity. So that suggestibility of a child is greater than that of an adult. During childhood, we tend to do what others are saying, what others are suggesting, but we will not be the same in our adulthood to do what others are suggesting. Okay, so that is the difference between the child and an adult. So, identification. A child cannot distinguish between his organism and environment. Things that satisfy his needs become object of identification. For example, during childhood, child cannot identify much. It is only based on his needs that things that satisfy his needs becomes object of identification. Child can only identify with his toys, with his mother who feeds him. He or she cannot identify much with other people or with other things. It is only such things which are near him which he can identify. But something that is very remote to him, he cannot or she cannot identify. Okay. Speed and area of identification increases with age. He becomes sociable through identification. Okay. The speed and area of identification increases with age. As the child grows, the speed and area of identification increases. Now the fourth one is The fourth factor of the process of socialization is the language. We all know that language is the medium of social intercourse. Okay. It is also a means of cultural transmission. If you want to transmit your culture to younger generation or to a new generation, then you have to use language to do that. Okay, so language plays an important role. So these four factors are very important process of socialization. Okay, this helps the process of socialization. Now let's go to the agencies of socialization. We all know that process of socialization is not limited to childhood period, but it continues throughout life. It is an incessant process, something which never stops. So process of socialization does not stop. It starts, of course, there is indirect process of indirect way of socialization which precedes the birth of the child. However, after birth, it keeps on continuing until the death of the person. Okay, so socialization is a process. What a child is going to become is more important than what he is now. For example, what we are now is less important than what we will become later on in life. You all are studying. You are doing nursing course because you want to become someone in life. So, what the child is going to become, the future of a child is more important than what he is now. The future is more important than the present. But to shape the future, we need the present also. Therefore, socialization is very important and should be controlled through institutional channels. There should be some kind of control so that proper socialization of an individual takes place and the future of that of the society of an individual is secure. Okay, so agencies of socialization. Now, agencies of socialization means sources of socialization, the agencies, no, the things that enable socialization. So here I have divided sources of socialization into two. Okay, one is authoritarian relationship. These type of socialization plays through authoritarian relationship. Okay, and the other type of socialization, there is equalitarian relationship. Okay, so socialization, there are two sources of socialization. One is authoritarian relationship, one is equalitarian relationship. Now, what is authoritarian relationship? It is those having authority over the child, for example, over an individual. For example, parents, teachers, elderly people, the state, etc. These all fall under authoritarian relationship. They kind of exercise authority over the child or over that particular person. So that is why authoritarian relationship. So socialization can take place under authoritarian relationship. Under parents, through teachers, through elderly people, state, etc. So authoritarian relationship involves respect for persons in authority. So we respect our elderly people, we respect our parents. Why we follow our parents' instruction? Because they are our parents and they have authority over us. Okay, so that way, that is another way of socialization. Okay, involves respect for person in authority, discipline, responsibility, social morality, etc. Now, this authoritarian relationship is a relationship of constraint. There is some kind of constraint in that particular relationship, in that under authoritarian relationship, because we are not equal. Someone has authority over us. So that is why authoritarian relationship. But this is also an important source of socialization. Number two is equalitarian relationship. Those equal in authority to the child. For example, playmates, friends, fellows in club. Here, mutual understanding between equals is found. Okay, so with our playmates, so we have our we tend to think that they are of our own age, and then we have understanding, mutual understanding, then we treat ourselves equal to them. So this is equalitarian relationship, and here the relationship of cooperation is found. In the other relationship, we have relationship of constraint, other authoritarian relationship. Here in equalitarian relationship, we have relationship of cooperation. So these are the two sources of socialization. Okay, authoritarian relationship and equalitarian relationship. Now, what are the chief agencies of socialization? What are the chief agencies of socialization? Number one, family. Number two, school. Number three, playmates, friends. Number four, church. Number five, the state. Okay. So family, here, this is the basic chief agency of socialization among all, because when a child is born, civic virtues, speech and language, social morality, respect for persons in authority, etc., everything, speech and language, basic things that the child should know starts from family. Okay, so family is the most important agency of socialization. And in school, when the child attains the age of 3, for example, the child starts going to school, so ideas and attitudes get molded. There is good as well as bad education. Good education can help the person to obtain good knowledge. Okay. So bad education will ultimately lead the student or the person to a dark future. So family, school, playmates, equal relationship, cooperation, mutual understanding, informal aspects of culture, functions, fashion, etc. There are so many things that we don't learn from our family, that we don't want to discuss with our family, but we get to understand about all these things from our friends and families, about relationship, about fashion and all, about so many stuff. So friends and families, friends and our playmates are also very important, and they are also important agencies for socialization. Things that we don't discuss in the family, we tend to discuss with our friends, and they help us also. And there are so many aspects which we need to learn from friends and playmates, which we don't get to learn from our families because of so many social restrictions. Okay, so it is important. And the church, religion provides a bond of unity. We have this bond of unity because of our religion. If if we see some other people belonging to us, to the same religion we belong, then we have this bond of unity, and it determines our course of life and set ideas. Okay, so when we hear sermons and all, we tend to realize things that had happened in our life, and we try to change, or we try to avoid the mistakes that we have committed in the life, in our life. And then religion, sermons and all these things, they shape our ideas. Okay, so church is very important, and the state, the last one is the state. So state is the authoritarian agency, law abiding. We have to abide by the laws of the state. If we fail to obey the laws, then we are punished. So state is also one of the agencies of socialization. They make laws, and they make other rules for its citizens, and then we are bound to obey such rules. Okay, so state is also one of the chief agencies of socialization. So we go to another one. Then elements of socialization. What are the elements of socialization? There are 3 elements in the socialization process of individual. Number 1 is the physical and psychological heritage of the individual. Everyone is born with physical as well as psychological heritage. Okay. Number 2 is the environment. There is an environment to which we are born, in which we are born. This also is one of the basic elements of socialization. Okay. Number 3 is the culture. Culture in which he is because of the interaction between these elements. So all this culture, how we interact with other people, how other people interact with us, This culture in which an individual is. Okay, so these all play an important role in the socialization process of an individual. The physical, psychological heritage of the individual, that is the environment where the person is born, and then the culture in which he is because of the interaction between the three elements. Okay. Then the fourth one, of course I have already mentioned three elements, but the fourth one is the experience of the individual in describing the process of socialization. For example, a child forced to study may associate education with physical punishment and may turn drawn and may give up studies also. So, experience of the individual also matters in the process of socialization. Some people, because they have suffered a lot in life, may suddenly be very willing to help others. So, sufferings also may contribute in the socialization of an individual. Okay, so these are the three elements in the process of socialization of individual: the physical, psychological heritage, the culture, the environment, and the culture. Okay, of the individual. So let's go to the next. Now, stages of socialization. What are the stages of socialization? There are 4 stages. Number 1 is the oral stage. Number 2 is the anal stage. Number 3 is the audible stage. Number 4 is the adolescent stage. So, oral stage, crying, dependency over hunger drive. Okay, we cry, the baby cry for food, the baby cry for bread. So that is oral stage. Okay, oral stage of the we depend, the child depends on the mother to feed him or her. Okay, our dependency over hunger drive. So this is the oral stage of socialization. Okay, the first stage is the oral stage, and then the second stage is the anal stage. For example, toilet training. This is basically during toddler period. Okay, here in the anal stage, the child internalizes 2 separate roles, himself and his mother. In the first stage, internalization of 2 roles is difficult. The child merges his identity with that of the mother in the first stage, that is oral stage. That is the primary identification. Okay. In the first stage, during the oral stage, child cannot internalize 2 roles. He finds or she finds it difficult. However, in the second stage, that is anal stage, child internalizes 2 roles. That is of himself and his mother. So in the audible stage, there is preschool. During preschool, this starts with preschool and ends with puberty. Okay. Child wants to identify himself or herself on the basis of sex. For example, we have Oedipus and Electra complex. What is Oedipus and Electra complex? So, according to psychologists, the boys develop Oedipus complex, love towards mother and jealousy towards father. This is Oedipus complex. Okay, whether it is correct or incorrect, that I cannot tell you, but this is the view of the psychologists. Okay, Oedipus complex basically means the boy develops love towards mother and jealousy towards father. And Electra complex basically means girl exhibits love for father and jealousy towards mother. So this is the third stage of socialization. Okay, and the fourth stage of socialization is adolescence. So during these stages, adolescents are free from parental control. However, they cannot decide on their own. They are free from their parental control, but they cannot decide on their own. So these are the 4 stages of socialization. I will share the slides with you, okay? Don't worry. Now, classification of socialization. Now, Ian Robertson classified socialization into 4 types. Number 1 is primary socialization. Number 2 is anticipatory socialization. Number 3 is developmental socialization. Number 4 is re-socialization. So I'll just try to explain what is primary socialization. Okay, it occurs early in life of the child. For example, family, friends, primary agencies. So through family, friends, they learn language, cognitive skills, norms, values. So all these skills and all this development takes place during in primary socialization. Okay, so basically it is the socialization that takes place in the early part of an individual through families, friends, playmate. Okay, now the second socialization, the second type of socialization is anticipatory socialization. Okay, what is anticipatory socialization? Anticipatory socialization means, anticipation means expectation. It is almost similar to the word expectation. You are expecting something, so you are anticipating something. Okay, so what is anticipatory socialization? It is a process by which individuals socialize themselves into the culture of a group with anticipation of joining that group is anticipatory socialization. Okay. If an individual socializes himself into a culture of group with anticipation of joining that group, with the expectation of joining that group, then it is called anticipatory socialization. He has an anticipation to join a certain group. That's why he is socializing into that culture. So that kind of socialization is called anticipatory socialization. Now, I will give you an example of anticipatory socialization. For example, a couple, two persons of different religion desires to marry and have a happy life. Let's say two persons are coming together, they are from different religion, they want to marry and start a happy family life. So in anticipation of that marriage, they try to learn the opposite. For example, the girl tries to learn the culture or the tradition of the boy, and then the boy tries to learn the culture and tradition of the girl in anticipation of having a happy family, in expectation of having a happy family. This type of socialization is called anticipatory socialization. Okay, now number 3 is developmental socialization. Now what is developmental socialization? Developmental socialization builds on already learned skills and knowledge. For example, in service training program, workshops, seminars, etc. Now you are already doing this nursing course. In the near future, you will be employed in some institute as a staff nurse, or you may take up teaching job also. So while you are in service, you may go for some other courses just to enhance your knowledge, or you may go for some other workshops or seminars to enhance your knowledge about your field. So this type of socialization or this type of building on already learned skills and knowledge is called developmental socialization. You are already having the knowledge, but you still want to build on that. So that is called developmental socialization. Okay. Now the fourth is re-socialization. What is re-socialization? Setting away of learned patterns and substitution of new ones. Okay. You are discarding what you have already learned. What you have learned as culture, whatever, you are throwing away. However, you are bringing something, you are learning to replace. Okay, and substitution of new ones. You are throwing away what you have learned and you are substituting with a new one. Okay, what you have already thrown. So such kind of process is called re-socialization. Okay. So for example, two persons of different continents, they are from different continents, let's say, okay, different continents, meet together and desires to lead family life according to social norm, especially the couple has to change, adapt their roles to different rules according to new situation. Okay, so when two people want to join in marriage and they belong to different continents, so they have to change everything and start a new life or a new role. They have to assume new roles. No, they have to change, adapt their roles to different role according to new situation, because they are from different continent. Everything is different about them. So these type of setting away of learned patterns and substitution of new ones, and you are learning new things to substitute what you have already thrown or what you have already discarded, that is called re-socialization. So what is the role of socialization? The role of socialization is for personality development. It is very important for personality development. If you don't go through socialization, or if you don't socialize, then you will not be able to develop your personality. Okay. So socialization of adults. Socialization of adults is easier than that of children for three reasons. Number one, adult is motivated to work towards a goal. It is always easy for adult to socialize, for socialization, than for children, because adult is motivated to work towards a goal. We have always this motivation, but this type of motivation is not there among the children. Okay, new role of an adult. The new role he is trying to internalize has many similarities to roles already existing in his personality. Whatever new roles he is trying to internalize is already existing in the personality of an adult. But these type of new roles children don't have such type of thing, okay, in them. So it is easier for adult to socialize than for children, okay. And number three is that the socializing agent can communicate with him through speech. Okay, for example, we don't have any problem as an adult to communicate with any type of any person. But however, among the children, for example, when they are young, they cannot speak, so we cannot tell them what to do also. And then they cannot even speak of what they feel. So these are the three reasons why socialization of adult is easier than that of the children. Okay. Now, socialization also reduces social distance and produce nearness. Okay, if we have socialization, then it reduces social distance. We don't tend to be apart from others when we have this socialization taking place. However, if we are sociable, we want to mingle with others and we want to share. Okay. So, improvement of socialization offers possibilities for the future alteration of human society. Okay. If we have improvement in our socialization, in the process of our socialization, it offers possibility for future alteration of our human society. Now let's come to the last topic, that is individualization. What is individualization? What do you understand by individualization? Individualization is a social process. Individualization is again a process. It is not something different from socialization. It is also a social process which tends to make the individual more or less independent of his group and to create in him a self-consciousness of his own. That is the meaning of individualization. One thing you have to be very clear is individualization is also a social process, and it tends to make the individual more or less independent of his group, okay, and to create in him self-consciousness of his own. These are the terms very important: social process, independent of his group, and self-consciousness. These terms, when you try to define individualization, you have to remember these three terms. Okay. According to McIver, individualization is the process in which man become more autonomous or self-determining. Self-determining means what? Taking decision for himself. Okay. So according to McIver, you already have heard his name. Individualization is the process in which man become more autonomous or self-determining. He has added many things, but I'm just taking only some part of the definition of individualization given by him. Okay, if you look in the text, you will find a long, definition of individualization. Just for the understanding, I have just quoted part of his whole definition. Okay, individualization helps the man know himself and his inner responsibility. Okay. Socialization brings man into relation with others. Individualization makes him autonomous or self-determining. While socialization brings man into relation with others, individualization makes him autonomous or self-determining. The development of the self is the most important result of the process of socialization. So the development of the self, which can be considered as individualization, is the most important result of the process of socialization. So in other way, we can say that the process of socialization leads to individualization. Okay, individualization is a kind of introspection and inwardness about the self. It is a kind of feeling about one's own personality. It is a kind of feeling about one's own personality, how one feels about his own personality. So individualization is the process of developing one's own self. It makes the individual take decisions by himself or herself and begins to act independently. So when a person becomes self-conscious and acts on his own, that is called individualization. In other words, it is self-determination, which means he takes decision for his own self. However, one thing we should remember is that individual himself does not do everything. Okay, it is the society, the social relation that helps him to become an individualized person. Okay, the process of individualization cannot happen unless there is socialization. So society and social relationship is very important to bring about individualization, to result in individualization. So one thing you must be very clear is that individual himself does not do everything, okay, or he does not become a self-conscious person himself, or he does not become a self-determining person by all his self. However, society, the social relationship, okay, the social structure, the social system, all these help in the process of individualization. So with this, I conclude my class here. So please I want to remind you once again that your unit test will commence very soon. So I'm going to prepare questions for the test. So it will be for 50 marks. So please prepare. Next time we will take up a new unit. It will be, I think, on culture. So I have completed the second unit. Yeah. Describe the influence of culture on health and disease. Nature of culture, evolution of culture, diversity and uniformity of culture, culture and socialization, transcultural society, influence on health and disease. So these unit, that is unit 3, we shall be taking in the next class. Okay. So thank you for attending this class and hope to see you in the next class. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, okay.